Like, has anyone else had a nightmare experience like this with Airbnb? Okay. I've been trying to film this since Sunday. It's Tuesday. I've been exhausted, hysterical, and honestly laughing to keep from crying. I wish you just could have heard it. Just through the phone, I could just see her. And then at the end, she was just like, and I had food in the oven. But now after reading this nasty email, I was like, I'm sorry.
The email wasn't nasty though.
No, she just meant the contents of what our experience. She was just like, nobody should have to go through that. And that is just disgusting. I was like, yeah. And I was like, we felt gaslit a little bit because every other review was like amazing, glowing, like the complete antithesis of our experience. And so that was part of our hesitation. And she was like, I get that. But she was like, yeah, there's no excuse. She was like, you should have been getting comped for that stuff being out of place. Because she was like, regardless if you got a hotel, Airbnb, whatever, she was like, all of the guidelines at these places state that you're coming into a clean and properly furnished environment. Yeah, and at this point, I just want to get this behind us and yeah, be done. So, yeah. My husband, dog, and I went on a trip. I've got some notes here to help me out because, again, I've been trying to get this done for several days now. This trip was meant to be many things. A honeymoon, scouting out a new location, Miami to be exact, to see if it was somewhere we could see ourselves putting down our roots for a new home hub. And lastly, we're artists. We were here to experience our first art Basel, so it was a business trip as well. And yeah, it's just been a borderline hellish turn nightmare since the beginning. But honestly, Friday, an already tedious experience came to a climax. So we're packing. Only a month into our intended 3 months here, and shit just got weird. So we are packing up from the Airbnb we've been in. We are working with Airbnb to resolve getting us a solution, be that refund or getting us into a new space. And if it takes too long, just going and putting ourselves up in a hotel for a night. I just wanted to document in real time just what we're feeling. And just, yeah, feeling anxious and uncomfortable was never a part of the plan. I don't think it's ever a part of anybody's plan. But just documenting the angst, the present angst that I feel like literally not even an hour ago, I was shaking, still shaking a little bit. But yeah, I just really was not thinking this was how we would be in this present moment. So we're packing. There's Bebe and Chunky, who's like, he's like, what's going on? I'm confused. So are we. So yeah. And my husband and I honestly felt like we just needed to get our stuff together, grab our dog and go. And that's what we did. So let's get into what happened. So Saturday, November 16th, this 2024 year, I reached out to Airbnb support thread through the app, and it has an AI generated response feature. So at 4:33 p.m. when I initiated the chat, the bot said, "Hi Yolanda, let's get you help. We're going to ask you some questions and then connect you with a member of our team. How can we help you with your Miami trip? It gave me a multiple choice. The choices were: the place isn't clean, I feel unsafe, the place isn't as described, an amenity is missing or broken, I'd rather type out my issue. Almost all of these things were in fact true. And I chose I'd rather type out my issue because at this point, there was more than just those few things listed above. I'd rather type out my issue. So I chose I'd rather type out my issue. The next message from Airbnb said, can you describe your issue in a few sentences? This will help our team understand what's going on. Please don't include sensitive info like credit card numbers. So I sent this letter. Good evening. My husband and I are feeling anxious and unsafe with our stay and the escalating behavior of our host's name. Our concerns started on the night we checked in. We sent our host a list of concerns in which she seemed defensive of and dismissive about, some of which remain unaddressed. The tone of response made us uncomfortable and anxious about following up on unaddressed items or raising other concerns. Our original concerns were as follows. On the bed in the front room, there was a dead bug, debris, and hair between the sheets. There was a gray stain that resembled a burn mark on the comforter. After seeing the sheets, the evening of our check-in, tired from our drive, we went out and bought our own. We didn't feel safe sleeping in the bed as it was. A caveat to this, I recounted that incorrectly. We actually did stay. We were so exhausted. We stayed that first night and in fact slept in our sleeping bags, as this screenshot shows. So, correcting that. We did, however, the next day, on the 21st, go and get sheets from Target. The back bedroom also had hair and debris in the bedding. The couch has a weird stain, which made us uncomfortable considering the pullout couch as a place to sleep on night one after seeing the state of the beds. Because we were thinking, if the beds were dirty, this could very well be a fresh stain. The shower was dirty with debris and hair. There was poop from their dogs in the backyard upon our arrival. The stovetop was dirty, along with the vent above the stove. The front left eye on the stove doesn't work. Host name never acknowledged the broken stove eye in their response. Okay, so I just had to pop back in here and acknowledge also just how gaslit we felt by the host's response, swearing that housekeeping had been by and had deep cleaned, etc., making it seem like there was no way that what we were experiencing was actually happening, when in fact she wasn't even in the state at the time to even verify this for herself. And so we're having this experience, and as you see here in her response, she's completely brushing off the chance that what we're experiencing and what was actively our reality was possible, and then placates by saying, oh, well, housekeeping can come back on Wednesday or Thursday. We checked in on Sunday, and she lets us know that housekeeping can come back on Wednesday or Thursday to clean to our liking. First of all, what is cleaning to my liking? The place should have been clean when we checked in. And Wednesday or Thursday? Are you serious? And so just that being where things started, and we genuinely really were trying to sort things out with the host and not involve Airbnb, and having in mind all of the other reviews we saw that the host was great, she's wonderfully communicative, any issues we had, she resolved immediately, gladly, etc., etc.
But that was not what we were met with. And then also her acknowledging how much the couch cost when we mentioned we didn't feel comfortable sleeping on this couch with this stain, and told us it was thousands of dollars and it's because guests didn't respect her house. Things that don't have anything to do with us. We're simply acknowledging the environment we walked into. There was no caveats about these things. And we're just supposed to be okay with this.
Some of the cookware was dirty. There were thick clumps of white lint in the bottom of the washing machine. I thought I removed it all, but our first couple loads of laundry came out covered in white lint. After our experience communicating about these initial concerns, we had more, but we're anxious about reaching out due to host's name because of some of these things after our discomforting first exchange. Some of the other issues include the outdoor furniture shown in the photos isn't present, but there was a hammock stand outside. When my husband asked about the furniture in a face-to-face conversation with the host partner, he was told that the furniture got messed up in the hurricane. He asked if there's a plan to replace it. He was told they hadn't found anything yet. And then my husband said in a conversation he had with the host himself face-to-face, host said there wasn't any plans to replace it. A few days later, the hammock swing was put up properly into the hammock, but it was covered in mildew. The outdoor furniture was one of the factors that helped us to choose to book this stay. We love being outside, and so the whole goal was to enjoy time outside, enjoy the beautiful space, and enjoy our partial honeymoon. This was supposed to be a starter to our honeymoon because when we got married, it was at the tail end of the global experience we all had, the pandemic. And we were in the middle of working some things out. And so we weren't able to take our honeymoon then. So we were doing a partial here, and then our full honeymoon will be somewhere overseas. So this was a huge letdown. There are 3 cameras on the property, 1 on the unit we're staying in, 1 facing this unit mounted on the host's home in front of our unit, and a Ring doorbell with a camera on our front door. We have the feeling of being surveilled or monitored, which has made it hard for us to feel comfortable spending time outside. The microwave was dirty with food residue. The dish drying rack from the photos on Airbnb was missing. She kindly replaced it after we inquired about it though. So there was a lot of, oh, maybe it's not too bad, which was why we didn't reach out to Airbnb at first and try to work things out with the host, as is encouraged on Airbnb. Reach out to your host, let the host help you out. The shower curtain had holes in it and was dirty. So it's dirty and holes. These rings are rusted. I'm glad I wore gloves because the rust is coming off. And then stains from the rust on the outer shower curtain. And then the bottom is just dirty and stained. We bought our own shower curtain and rod after receiving such discomforting response from her about our initial cleanliness issues. An Amazon package of ours was mistakenly delivered to their house. We sent a message asking about it at 1:44 p.m. and received no response. At around 4:15 p.m., we found the delivery on our doorstep, but the package had been torn open. The photo we received from the Amazon delivery driver did not show the package open. We received no message from the host until much later after this. Host's name and her partner have had multiple violent sounding screaming arguments outside that we could clearly hear from inside of our unit. This has contributed to our anxiety about our safety here. Yesterday, host's name shared that she's charging us with internet overage fees, although we weren't notified in advance that there are internet usage limits. We initially agreed, but we're now concerned about the fairness because host's name shared with us that Their brother is currently staying with them and has stayed longer than anticipated. We are curious about whether all of the additional internet usage is really to be attributed solely to us. Host name followed up and said they found an alternative solution that allowed them to upgrade their plan while we are here so that we're not charged continually for overages. This morning, host name messaged us to say that their electricity bill has doubled and asked if we're mining crypto, which we're not. We felt it was extremely inappropriate to ask this sort of question to an Airbnb guest. Also, we're not sure how much of this should be attributed to us and how much could be attributed to her guest staying with her longer than anticipated. The host expressed having money concerns and an in-person conversation with my husband, which coupled with her behavior regarding her current bills and these sudden unexpected charges over the past 24 hours is contributing to our increased anxiety. We pick up poop from her dogs in the yard from time to time without complaint. Host name has sent several more messages since the last one I saw this morning, and I have not opened them due to anxiety and general discomfort about our current situation. With all this said, my husband and I feel very anxious and unsafe. We'd like to know what solutions Airbnb can offer to give us peace of mind. So that's the letter I sent at 4:34 p.m. on Saturday, November 16th. The Airbnb bot responded, "It sounds like you're experiencing a safety issue, including harassment or discrimination. Is that right?" It gave multiple choice again. Yes, it's a safety issue. No, it's something else. I chose yes, it's a safety issue. The bot then said, "If there's an emergency in progress, let's get you connected to local emergency services now," and then gave a multiple choice for that. "For other issues, we'll connect you with a member of our safety team." I chose the contact method as put me in contact with the safety team. And it showed that I said, "Call us." So we had our first call on November 16th at 4:35 p.m. When I clicked call us, it prompted me to click the number. So I called. That call lasted for about 16 minutes. And on that call, I was told that given the nature of our issue, we had to talk to a supervisor. This was after spending a majority of those 16 minutes struggling with language barrier related communication issues. And that really added to the anxiety I was already in the midst of feeling. But after that call, that support agent sent this message to the thread at 4:56. "Hi, Yolanda. So as discussed on the call, as you informed that you want to speak with a supervisor, we'll go ahead and escalate the case and you will get a call back as earliest possible. Best regards, Airbnb Support." I said, "Thank you." I then received an incoming call at 5:48. This call was better. I did have to explain my story again from the beginning and ask them to read the letter that I sent because I had to do the same on the first phone call. They asked me to explain what was the reason for my calling. I asked if they could reference the support thread I started, and they did, but then still asked to hear it directly from me. So I've had to recount my story now twice. whilst I'm in the middle of having an anxiety, borderline panic attack, feeling stressed. And after about 30 minutes on this call, it was about 20 minutes, 7 minutes exactly, we spoke to a wonderful agent who was the senior case manager, and he said he was going to help us out and that he could get everything situated Saturday night. It would just involve him reaching out to the host. At this point, the sun was going down, so nighttime was setting in, and we honestly didn't feel comfortable having to pack up all our stuff and leave in the dead of night at nightfall in an unfamiliar state. Like, we're not local to Florida, and we've only been here about a month. And so we asked if this could happen in the morning, if we could pause this, give us the night to pack and leave during daylight. Because given the exchanges we heard between our host and their partner, we didn't want to find ourselves in the crosshairs of their temper. So the agent assured us that this could happen, and he then sent me a message detailing everything that we discussed and what would happen next to support us. And at this point, we were feeling confident about, okay, all we need to do is get our stuff together, get ourselves ready to go. And he told us to call back in the morning and request to speak to a manager, not an ambassador, but a manager, give them the case number, and they would help us get completely checked out and move on. We were very grateful to have all of the detailing in the message and finding out what the next steps were. Then Sunday came around, and that's about where smooth sailing, if I could even call it that, ended. On Sunday, I called at 8:47 a.m. when we were ready to get this ball rolling and get out. And that call lasted about 7 minutes because, once again, I had to articulate what was going on and ask, as I was asking, can I please just speak to a manager? This was what I was told to do, but before I could do that, I had to tell them why I was calling and give a brief synopsis and then give them case number. Then for them to say, oh, I see the case. It's already been assigned to a case manager. You'll just have to wait for a call back. We can't forward you to a manager right now on the line. The manager has to call you. So we said, okay. We'll wait for the manager to call. Nothing for hours. So at around 1:40, at 1:37, I sent a message to Airbnb Support saying, good afternoon. I haven't received a call from a manager as of yet. I wanted to document that we have just left the property, as I was told that our checkout day would be changed to today, along with other matters discussed. I'd also like to note that we completely cleaned the unit before departing and took video in case any evidence is needed. Thank you again for support through this. I look forward to receiving the call back to be able to resolve this case. Talk soon. Another several hours goes by. We're in our car, all packed up, and just feeling done, feeling through, feeling anxious, feeling frustrated, quite frankly, scared a little bit. And not myself for feeling scared or even being in the position, period. And We drive around, find somewhere to park, and we wait. And we wait. 3:05, and this is on Sunday, still. 3:05 p.m., make another call, give a brief synopsis of what happened, give the case number, ask for a manager. Same thing. Can't forward you to a manager. Manager has to call you. Manager will call at the earliest convenience. Hang up. Nothing. 5:16. Call back. Because again, sitting outside in the car with groceries, fresh produce, frozen food, because we had planned to be at this Airbnb for 3 months. So we had done our Costco run, like we had all of our necessities to be good for an extended period of time. So we have all of that stuff crammed into our car and our roof rack with our dog. Just sitting outside on the street, waiting for support. Waiting for support. At 5:16, I call again. Still waiting to hear from support. Where's this manager? We were also told that Airbnb would help us find the next place to transfer into, and that if one couldn't be found tonight, that we would be given a $200 credit to stay in a hotel for the night. So I call back and say, is Airbnb still gonna help us find somewhere else to stay? And where is this manager? And I'm told can't answer the manager conversation, but yes, Airbnbs will still help you find somewhere to stay or give you the credit if you can't find somewhere to stay. And I said, okay, what is the next steps? And the agent says, well, you could start by looking yourself and let us know, where it is that you find that you want to stay, and we can go from there. So we sit in our car, scroll Airbnb, looking for places to stay. Nowhere, we don't see anywhere that meets our requirements that's in the same price bracket that we had budgeted for this trip. But we find a place that we like, even though it's over budget, and we're like, fine. This is where we'd like to transfer to. And we were told to text the link to the place we'd like to transfer to the Airbnb chat, support chat. I do this. I say at 5:33, hello, I was asked by Kevin to send the link to the Airbnb where we are considering switching to in this thread. Here's the link to the Airbnb we'd like to move to. We had already been in the process of trying to figure out worst case scenario, if we've got to leave, what are our options in case Airbnb doesn't come through either. So we took those about 15 minutes or so to look through those places that we had marked as maybe and search even more because some of them weren't even available anymore. And we found a spot. Nothing. We hear nothing back. So, given that the sun is setting, because sunset is at 5:30 now. Given that the sun is setting, at 5:37, I initiate contact with the Airbnb host for this new place that we want to stay and ask if it's possible for us to check in that night, Sunday night. And the new host says, yes, please tell me about your trip. We give her a brief synopsis about why we're on this trip, not mentioning any of this nonsense, but our original reason for our trip. She says, great, and we book it. on our own because we haven't heard from Airbnb. Popping back in to say, tired from hours of packing, under pressure, anxious, confused, and then sitting in the car for hours, burning gas to have the air on so that all three of us could stay cool in 80-degree weather, hoping that the food wasn't going to spoil, praying that the meter maid was not going to come by and give us a ticket, and sitting outside the only hotel we did manage to find that would fit in the $200 offered from Airbnb, waiting to hear back from them, which we never did. And we also didn't even love that idea of having to unpack our overstuffed, overcrammed car into a hotel, then to just have to move right back out, knowing that we couldn't leave stuff in the car, couldn't leave stuff in the roof rack, in the trunk, because it was made very clear by several signposts that we needed to take all of our stuff out and with us. It was what else? All those signs. They take all your valuables, make sure you have your keys, lock your car door. Like, okay, we get it. So yeah, it was nothing short of a miserable situation. And we did have food spoil, and we didn't wind up booking that hotel because we never heard back from Airbnb, and we just couldn't bring ourselves to undo the hours it took us to organize everything from in the Airbnb we were at, pack it all up, pack it all into the car, and go. We just weren't willing to do that 2 more times, to go into a hotel and then to the next Airbnb. It just wasn't gonna happen. And it didn't, because we booked on our own because we never heard back from Airbnb Sunday night. And since then, each interaction we have with Airbnb support, we have yet to feel fully understood, empathized with, or considered, or frustration acknowledged and attempted to be soothed, except for that first call with the first manager we talked to, who seemed to grasp it pretty well. But after that, we've just been feeling like we're chasing thin air. At around at 6:08, I said booking now, so sometime between 6:08 and 6:20 or so, I went through the whole process and booked our reservation. Still nothing from Airbnb. So we drive from Miami to where this new booking is. And get settled in for the night. Don't bother calling back because we already know the answer. It's not a manager calling you. It's just gonna be a runaround. Yeah. And then at 9-something in the morning, oh no, before that, at 12:12 a.m., so 12:12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's Monday now, I get a message from Airbnb support that starts off by calling me the wrong name. It says, "Hi Josh, my name is Yolanda." But it said, "Hi Josh," and asked whether or not it was a good time to call. The message said at 12:12 a.m., "Hi Josh, greetings from Airbnb. Thanks for taking the time to let us know. We appreciate users who let us know when things aren't right. This is no more acceptable to us than it is to you. Rest assured, I'm going to take care of this for you first, so you have one less thing to worry about. At this moment, the calling window is outside reasonable hours, so kindly let me know if it's okay to call you up at this time. Could you please help me with the best time as per your convenience so that I can give you a call and help you resolve your concern? Or if you require urgent assistance, please call us at these numbers. Thanks, and I look forward to hearing from you. Regards, Senior Case Manager. At 12:12 a.m. I was asleep by then. I crashed out. I flatlined. And then, as I'm sleeping in, Monday, November 18th at 9:23 a.m., I get a call from a manager. And the manager once again asks me to explain my situation. And this whole time I'm having to explain myself because a couple times my husband tried to chime in and help me, and they said they cannot speak to him. It must be me since I'm the account holder. So I have to explain again and kindly ask, please refer to the letter that I sent. And they do. And then still ask me, okay, what would you like to have done? What do you want to do from here? And at this point, I'm just frustrated. I'm like, the first manager who helped us on Saturday already laid out what was supposed to be done, how I'm supposed to be being helped. And then this case manager reiterates those things. And then something we hadn't latched onto on Saturday night, which was they said there'll be a 30% refund or discount on 15 nights of our stay. And then we were confused, why 15 nights and not the whole thing? And we were informed that because we stayed so long, it can only be 15 nights. And that confused us further. Like, we stayed because we were trying to do as we were encouraged to do, which is work it out with your host. And between the communication struggles due to language barriers and exhaustion and impatience for this already dragging out 48 hours, and honestly being left stranded, like if we didn't have the means to book another place on our own, we would have literally been sleeping in our car and having food spoiled. We actually did have food spoiled because we spent 6 hours in our car in Miami. So at this point, I was shutting down. I was in fight, flight, freeze. I was angry. I was upset. I'm grateful I don't still feel the peak of those emotions right now. At this point, I'm just disappointed, completely frustrated and outdone with Airbnb support, the lack thereof. And at this point, just wanted a refund and wanted some accountability from Airbnb, want some accountability for Airbnb for this ridiculousness. As long as it took to get this resolved, having to continue to repeat my story, not having people on hand, on staff, immediately ready and able to help. So after this call, and it wasn't until we mentioned we had photo and video, and had to really stress that one, video creation is a big part of our work. My husband's in the middle of, well, together, collaboratively, we're in the middle of working on several documentaries. We had the whole production of a lot of the stuff we were working on because we literally just could not film in the space that we were in. We couldn't work. There were very few spaces where we felt comfortable to work. and then feeling like we were being watched. We just didn't feel comfortable, period. And then once we mentioned we had photo and video, then it was, okay, please send us the photo and video, and we'll go from there, and I'll reach out to your host. And at 9:50, that agent sent me a message, said, as per our telephonic conversation, I informed you that I will need to get in touch with your host quickly. Once I receive a response from your host, I will keep you posted on the same message thread. Also, I request you to please send us the documents like pictures or videos. So that's why I'm making this. So we can send this video with this explanation, and hopefully I will not have to reiterate again. What I've already had to reiterate so many times. It's, yeah. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. I just want it to be over. We just want it to be over. I want to actually enjoy the new place that we're in. Also, there were things that, even in that letter, we'd forgot to mention. Like the kitchen and bathroom windows were sealed shut, so we couldn't have ventilation while cooking or taking a shower. There's an animal in the attic that would come and go. So in the middle of the night, 3 a.m., we're just hearing claws and whatnot. I was paranoid about how it would be able to come out of the attic, because in the shower, there's a vent that I feel like sits right under the attic. And the floorboards were shifting and moving. There's bowing in the kitchen floorboards. And in the kitchen, a piece of the laminate flooring came off on my foot. Like, it was just thing after thing after thing. And we kept trying to move in good faith that it could be worked out. But after a while, it was just too much. And what pushed it over the edge was telling us that we were going to be charged for things that were not disclosed as things that could be charged as extras during our stay. The internet, the electricity, asserting or asking whether or not we're mining crypto. All of these things felt like violations, starting from the place not being clean and being gaslit by the host about there's no way it couldn't be clean. So, I don't know. Like, has anyone else had a nightmare experience like this with Airbnb? Like, and what do you do? What do you do in this situation? Because honestly, my husband and I, our dog, we would just like this resolved immediately, and with the expediency that's been missing throughout this whole process so far. And with some consideration.